Hello and welcome to Rooted in Yad, where I talk about what it's really like living in Jamaica so that you can know what to expect and how to thrive if you're planning to make the move here. And today we are getting into part 2 of my advice on what you should consider if you would like to move to Jamaica or before you move to Jamaica, right? So if you haven't seen part one I talk about considering your residency options or like your way to permanently stay in Jamaica. I talk about that and about the different ways Jamaica has for that. So I'm going to link part 1 in the description and in the comments. I would recommend watching that before you watch this one, or I guess you can, it's not really related to this, so you could watch that after this. But the point is it's there and I talk about it and I wanted to let you know in case you're just showing up and you didn't watch that already. So yeah, but these are the things I'm thinking. These are more things that I think that you should think about or consider before you move to Jamaica. Now, the next thing I want you to think about or consider is what you're willing to live with or how you're willing to live. Essentially, your standard of living. I want you to really think about your standard of living because when I was creating the script for this video, okay, because I always like script my videos. I have to do that. I can't just, yeah, I talk, but anyway, the whole point is I script my videos, okay? And when I was creating the script for this video, I was out of water for like 4 days. I think it was just 4 days, 4 or 5 days, but I think it was just four days because the National Water Commission, that is the only water supplier, at least for piped water, okay, in Jamaica. I don't know, they couldn't get it together. They couldn't get it together. They said they'd have a fix by one day. Make it worse, it was over a holiday weekend. So over the holiday weekend, a whole bunch of people had no water, at least no water out the pipe, right? So, you know, they said there's going to be a fix by one day, and then when that day came, they said, actually, no, you're going to have to wait a few more days. And you're going to have to wait a few more days because this consistent issue that always happened again. So, this is why I'm telling you that. Like, are you willing to live with that? Right? I mean, not to say I didn't have water. I've talked about this before. Generally, when you rent a place in Jamaica, right? Let's say you're renting, even if you buy a place, like they should have a water tank on premises, a large water tank on premises. And you can use that. If it's not hooked up to the piping of the home, then, you know, you're going to have to go out with your buckets and stuff and fill up the water. That gets old real quick. But you're gonna have to go out there and fill up jugs and buckets and whatever and bring it in the house and then like buy jugs of clean water to drink. But as I said, it gets old real fast. Are you willing to live with that? I'm mentioning this too. That's why I'm like, you got to think about your standard of living, right? Are you willing to know what it's like to go without running water through your pipes? Like, are you willing to deal with unstable utilities? Because the utilities here aren't always stable. Now, the electricity, I will say, I haven't really... If it goes out, it goes out for like a few hours maximum. It's not going out for like a whole day unless something is really wrong, right? But like the food in your fridge, the food in your freezer is not going to thaw out, is my point. You know, for Hurricane Beryl, it did. But that was, you know, an extenuous situation. That was a different situation. Generally, it's not like that, but it's still annoying. It's still annoying. Do you want to have to deal with that? And, you know, something else I've talked about before, just in case you didn't know, this is something else you should also be aware of, but hot water is not standard here. I said it was a luxury in previous videos, and there are some Jamaicans who took issue with that, and I understand. I understand why, because they're like, oh, we don't need hot water because it's so hot here. I understand. But at the same time, it's kind of a luxury because a lot of people can't afford to get hot water here, to get a hot water heater or hot water tank or whatever. A lot of people can't afford that. And you know, you watching this video, a lot of people who watch my videos are from the US, the UK, Canada, like they're from more developed nations, right? More developed, when I say developed, more developed nations, right? And so you're gonna have hot water running out of your pipes right now, but then you're gonna come to Jamaica and you might get it, but you might not, right? So is that something that, you know, you're willing to go without, right? Like, I mean, if you move to a place in Jamaica, because there are some places here that have hot water, like, but you have to be deliberate, right? Like if you go to look at a unit if in the unit listing, like the ad for it, if it does not state it comes with hot water, it probably doesn't. Because as I said, hot water is not standard here. Hot water is like an extra thing. You know, that's something that they're going to put in a listing. In Canada, you wouldn't put that in a listing because it's just expected. Of course you're going to get hot water. In the US, it doesn't matter how hot it gets. In the US, I remember I went to Texas. I came off the plane at nighttime. It was 12 a.m. and I was sweating buckets like the sun was beaming on me. I swear it was hotter than Jamaica. Like it was so hot. I was like, why? It has no business being this hot at night. And then when it rained, it was like the raindrops were hot. But let me tell you something, Texas still had hot water. So I'm like, you know, for people who are like, oh, you know, Jamaica, the climate, the hot water is not necessary. Okay, well, there was still hot water in certain places, you know, in Florida. Florida is like quite close to Jamaica. They still have hot water at the pipes. Bet you they still have hot water at the pipes. But anyway, yeah, the whole point is, potentially, are you willing to go without hot water? And, you know, sometimes the layouts for the homes here are not what you're used to. I mean, sometimes, like, I'll give an example. Sometimes you're going to see, like, safety or protection bars here on the windows and on the doors, or, like, in front or behind the door. And it's kind of going to make you feel like you're in a prison. At least until you get used to it. But do you want to get used to it though? I mean, they're there for your safety, right? Or the illusion of it. I don't know. I feel like not everyone needs it, but it's there to just make you feel. But do you want to get used to that though? Like, that's the thing. Like, are you willing to live without access to certain conveniences? And you know, to be fair, Jamaica is really developing now, right? Like, depending on where you are on the island, people can order food from home. That is new. Amazon delivers here now. When I moved here in 2023, they did not. Amazon delivers here now, right? So there's things like that. But like, you know, are you willing to go without certain conveniences that you're used to that you may not find here? Are you willing to go without certain foods or certain products because, you know, either they don't have it here or it's so ridiculously expensive that you're like, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. Do you want to go through that? That's something to think about. Another thing that I think you should consider is, and I feel like this isn't talked about enough, are the bugs, okay? The bugs and the wildlife. What's your tolerance like? What is your tolerance like? And I'm not just talking mosquitoes, okay? I mean roaches, okay? Because you see, when you have roaches in a place like Canada or the US or the UK, generally it's because somebody is nasty. Somebody somewhere is nasty. Could be someone in your building, could be the previous person who lived in the place before you, could be a roommate, whatever. But like, you know, roaches are only present in those countries in a place generally because somebody is nasty. Somebody around, if not you, somebody around is nasty. But you see in Jamaica, okay? No, the roaches, they just live here. Okay, they live here. They just, I don't know, they come from outside. They just, I don't know if it's because a lot of places like are built bad or what, but like they just find their way into your home. Like literally, I'm talking like they walk from your backyard or your front yard. They walk from whatever bush that's right there and they walk into your home. And they're not always little roaches. I mean, like they're big. Like you see this? Look at my little nail. Anyway, you see this? Big. They could be bigger. I've seen bigger. Okay. You know, the other day before I made this script, I actually had a crash out because of bugs. And I posted this in a Facebook group. Like I had a whole crash out and then I went online and like was ranting. I posted this in a Facebook group. You could probably still find the post if you are in that group. And, but the whole point is I had a crash out because I was in the kitchen at night. I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was cleaning up something. And a roach fell from the ceiling onto my arm, like right here. And the scream I scrumped, y'all. I was not okay. I was not okay. And it was a big roach too. Like it was like, as I just showed, it was like this big, like it just on my arm. Oh, okay. So I like, you know, dashed it off of my arm. It fell on the floor. I'm there screaming. And then I'm like trying to kill this roach. And I couldn't kill it immediately because it ran into a towel that was on the floor. And we have to keep a towel on the kitchen floor because I was in the kitchen, right? We had to keep a towel on the kitchen floor because it was raining earlier and the water the roof was, the water was leaking from the roof because the roof here needs to get fixed. The landlord knows, the landlord still has not fixed the roof, and they raised the rent and they still have not fixed the roof. But anyway, so we had the towel on the floor, and the roach ran into the towel. So like, I'm trying to figure out what to kill this roach with. Like, I don't have a shoe near me, so I'm grabbing whatever. There's like an empty bottle. I'm there grabbing it, trying to like kill the roach. But then I pick up the bottle to smash the roach, and I am like smashing the towel and everything. But then, you know, when I picked the bottle, you want to know what I saw? I saw ants. I saw a whole, like, it was like hundreds of like tiny little ants all over the floor, trailing in from the back door, because the kitchen, like the back door is here and the kitchen is like, the kitchen is at the back of the home, so the back door is right there. And all these hundreds of ants are trailing in from the back door, and that was so frustrating because I literally that day or the day prior put a whole heap of ant powder all over, like the outside of the back door, all the hinges, everything had ant powder. So I'm like, where are these ants? Okay, I'm gonna try not to have a freak out, but you can understand. Do you see? Do you see? So I had to crash out because I don't do bugs. I don't do bugs. I don't live with bugs. I don't live like this. And so I had, like, when I see bugs, it's a fight on sight. Like, I don't do bugs. And is that something you're willing to deal with? I mean, maybe you won't have to deal with this like that, right? Maybe this won't happen to you because in certain places I feel like it's not as bad. Like we had, in another place we had lived in when we were here years ago, there was an ant problem. There was an ant problem, but once we figured out where the ants were coming from, they made their home in the door jamb. So once my husband and my mom, because she came to visit, once they cleared all that out, we didn't have an ant problem like how we did before. The roaches though, but there was another place we lived in, I did not see one roach. So like, maybe they're not everywhere. Some places are built differently than others. I feel like the roaches come in because where the excrement leaves the house from like the toilet and stuff, it's right beside it's like on the property right beside the bathroom window. Like it's on the ground right beside the bathroom window. Like you could literally go outside. If you're walking to the back of the house from that side, you're gonna have to like step around it. Like it's real close. That's probably where the roaches are coming from. This is why I'm like, some of the places here are not, I feel like they're not built well in that sense. So maybe you won't have that issue. But the thing is, it's common enough. It's common enough here that it could be an issue. And you know what's funny? When I told my husband about the roach, because he was sleeping, okay, the man was sleeping, dead to the world, which is actually kind of strange because he's usually a light sleeper, but he must have been really tired. When I told him about what happened, he was like, oh, the bugs were giving me an eviction notice. Jamaican humor. Jamaican humor is something else. They really find humor in everything. But anyway, as I was saying, do you want to deal with all those bugs? Do you this situation that happened to me, maybe it won't happen to you, but roaches are common enough in Jamaica that a lot of Jamaicans do not really bat an eye at them. They're just like, okay, just smack it, just kill it. But they're having a crash out, like how I have my crash outs. You know, would you be okay with like the not just the bugs finding their way into your home, but like the little geckos, or like these little geckos? The geckos, I would actually rather those 10 times over than the roaches. They don't really do nothing. They just like kind of slither in from somewhere and then they just go somewhere else. You don't really see them. They don't go into your food. They don't do nothing. They just kind of stay away from you. So for me, that's not a big deal, but is that a big deal for you? Right? The dogs. Are you afraid of dogs? Because, I mean, I hope not, because there are a lot of stray dogs in Jamaica, right? Are they going to attack you? Likely not. Generally, they are wary of humans. But, like, I guess, if they try, you kind of just find yourself a big stone and you pick it up and just kind of start to aim it in their direction, and they'll know what that means and then they'll run off. But these are the things you kind of got to think about, or these are the things you kind of got to consider, right? This bug thing, nobody told me about that. This is why I'm going on so long about this point, because no one told me. I had to come here and find out firsthand about the bugs. No one told me about the bugs. Maybe people are expecting, I guess it's the Caribbean, but like I never knew. This is why I'm coming here telling you. I think I'm a little bit traumatized, just a little bit traumatized with the bugs, because they are just everywhere in this particular home. The other day, I thought I had, with the ants, okay? I thought I had killed. I thought I had like done away with the ants enough, because these ants are everywhere, right? They're just everywhere in this particular home. Yeah, the ants are everywhere in this particular home, and I had put a whole bunch of ant powder in front of the front door, and I thought I did a pretty good job. I wasn't seeing ants coming in from the floor or anything, but one night I looked up. I just decided to look up above the door, and the ants were coming from the ceiling. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? They come from the ceiling. What am I supposed to do? Okay, I sprayed them, but like what else am I supposed to do? And you know how high the ceiling is here. What am I supposed to do if they're coming from the ceiling? I don't have a ladder. This is what I mean, the bugs. Is that something that's going to bother you? You got to think about that, and you got to think about, if you want to move here, how you're going to handle that. Or maybe you can end up moving to a place that's not going to have that issue, right? Because maybe certain places, I don't know, maybe if you're in a place with not so much bush right next to the house, or the place is built a little better or something like that, maybe you're not going to have that issue. But it's common enough. It's so common that people don't talk about it. Is that going to be an issue for you? Is it going to be an issue for you to see stray dogs? Let's say you're renting a home and the stray dog runs through your backyard to go where it's going. Is it going to be an issue for you? You got to think about things like this. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it there for today. Good Lord. This is just 2 points. And I talked so much about the 2 points, but I just had to give you the rundown. I had to let you know. So that is it from me today. I hope that you found this helpful or informative, or at least entertaining, with the stuff that happens to me, and then I come back here and tell y'all about what happened to me. I don't want to think about that anymore. Okay, I'm moving on. But if you did like this video, do hit the like button to let me know. But I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts after hearing me talk about certain things? I'm not trying to scare anyone from moving here, because as I said, I moved back here. You think I didn't experience, well, actually I didn't experience a roach falling on me the first time I moved here. I think that is specifically because the roof, like it has been wet and rainy, and the roof was leaking, and apparently roaches like dark, wet spaces, and there's a tarp that we had put up there. I didn't do nothing. My husband had put that up there. There's a tarp that my husband and another relative had put up onto, so maybe they're like in there or something, and maybe that's the reason. But like, I'm not, as I said, I'm not trying to scare nobody. Although this happened, I'm still like, I want to live here. I love Jamaica. I plan to never move anywhere else. I just want to live here. I love Jamaica. I love living here. I think that it is such, like, I am so privileged. I have the privilege to be here, and I'm so grateful for that privilege and for this opportunity. I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful that my ancestors come from this land, or from this place. Technically, all the ancestors are from Africa, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Going back far, 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 far enough, they're from here. So I'm grateful to be here. So like, I'm not trying to scare anyone from moving here, because like I still love it here. But I just need you to know, right? I need you to know. I'm giving you like real life things to think about. I need you to, there's things you need to consider before you move here. So I hope I didn't scare you. That was not my intention. I hope I didn't scare you. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's all I'll say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As I said, I still love it here. Am I planning to move from this location? Yes, absolutely. Sorry, someone just drove by with a truck with music. But am I planning to move from this location? Absolutely. Am I planning to leave Jamaica? No. I love it here. So I hope I didn't scare you, but I'd like to know your thoughts. If these are things that maybe you hadn't really considered. And if you are planning to move here or even visit, don't forget to get your freebies, okay? I created these to give you a head start on things like what to bring, what to expect, and I even created a whole Jamaica calendar, okay? So you can figure out when is the best time for you to come to Jamaica. So there's a calendar for like the events for the rest of 2025. And then there's a whole calendar for 2026. So it has like the seasons, it has the holidays, the Jamaican holidays, it has a whole bunch of Jamaican events, like events that are in Jamaica. So if you want to come during a time that's more boisterous or more lively, or if you want to come during a more quiet time, you should be able to look at the calendar and get like a general idea. And then you can book your flights accordingly. And the link for that will be in the comments and in the description. And if you want even more support outside of my freebies, I did create a few resources to help your transition go even smoother. So the first is the Moving to Jamaica Starter Guide. This is the early access. The early access for it, the price is $10. For this early access for that price, you are getting access to the parts that are done already, which at the point of this video being released is parts 1 and 2. That's about like 51 pages of information that you're getting access to. And it's not just like, you know, I styled it in a way to make it more readable instead of it just being like a wall of text. That's probably why it's 51 pages. But either way, it's still a lot of information, and I will be releasing more parts, right? So you're getting early access. The price will go up once it's complete, once the guide is complete. So grab it early if you're interested. The next resource I have for you is my Clarity Workbook. It's called the Life You Want Workbook, but I created it to help you if you are unsure if like Jamaica is aligned with your vision for your life, or maybe you're considering Jamaica and some other place and you're kind of like, I don't know kind of which, this workbook is supposed to help you with that. So it's actually based on my process of what I have done and what I do to figure out what I want in life, which is what led me to Jamaica. I've had other people get the workbook already, and they have said how helpful it is. I remember, I think I even created a post, and there was someone who commented, a friend who commented and said, because she has it, commented and said like, yeah, this is really helpful. So if you're interested in that, it is only $5. For the $5, you're getting a printable version and a version that you can fill out on the computer. And then the last resource is my Grounded and Growing Journal. So this is a guided space to help you focus, stay grounded, and move forward with more intention in your day-to-day. This is also based on the way that I currently journal. This is the way that helps me feel grounded in my day to day, and helps me like move forward with more intention to the goals that I have. So if you're interested in that, the price for that is only $7. So you can find everything for that linked in the comments and in the description. In the meantime, I appreciate you being here. If you like the video, do subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming next, if you haven't subscribed already, and I will see you in the next one.